Red Berets launched their party manifesto over the weekend in a packed Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. The party, which has been described as one of the fastest growing political parties in SA, outlined, among other things, their plans to end load shedding. But can they hold their status, and does filling stadiums result in a bigger electorate? Or did the EFF convince voters that they are still the alternative party for South Africans that are frustrated with the governing ANC? Well, we unpack that with brand strategist Solly Moeng, who joins us live now from Switzerland. Solly, a good morning to you. I wonder if you were able to see some of the images on Saturday at the stadium. And we keep saying packed, but we're talking about a 56,000 capacity stadium. 70% full. Do those numbers even matter?
They do and they don't. I mean, they do in South Africa because people make judgments on the basis of them, but they don't if the message is clear, crisp, and convincing. I think that we have to look at both. We know that the ANC, for the EFF, thrives on anger, and there's a lot of anger in South Africa, and it knows how to package little goodies, to feed the anger. But now it's also operating in a very fragmented political environment where there are a lot more offerings than there used to be. So it has to fight for its own pieces. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about. I mean, we can certainly look at what is in the manifesto and what they're communicating to people. But I think before we even start to unpack that, has the EFF managed to successfully convince the electorate that the contents of their manifesto are just as important as their personality politics, if you will?
I think the EFF, like many parties really, knows that most of its followers don't read the content of these manifestos. 284 pages or something like that. Many of those people will not, and I've seen some interviews, jokes, people asking them, what do you think it means, what is in there? They're all excited about being there in the presence of Julius Malema. What he says, his presence is more important than the content of the manifesto. And that is the sad part, because a lot of what he offers, what the EFF offers, cannot be realized. It's impossible. It depends on too many other things, including finances, to do that stuff. So but they don't care. I think it's exact. Look, he's a very charismatic person. We all know that. He speaks really well on a good day. And these are the kind of people who enjoy just good oratory.
Yeah, I want to look at really some of the ideas that the leader of the EFF has put forward. I mean, on the issue of dealing with job creation in the country. This is what he's put forward. That we set up a 3-shift system, morning, afternoon and night, to allow the economy to operate 24 hours, and that's to ensure continuous productivity without overworking individual workers. Is that something that's doable, and does the electorate believe that?
Well, first of all, you would have to garner enough numbers to be able to change those sort of things. First of all, and secondly, we're not a socialist communist party, whether these people feel like we are it or not. The other partners in the economy, big business, and labor obviously have to be prepared to play their part with him. I don't know that business is going to play along with him. He can't tell business exactly what to do. The role of government is to create an environment for people with money, for capitalists, if you want. We are in a mixed economy, to see opportunities and create further job and business opportunities for their pipelines, for their value chains, for their businesses. But government can only go so far. So, Malema, I think it's easy when you're in opposition, you've never been in power, to imagine or to fail to imagine that once we're in there, real politics shows you a totally different picture of what governance on a daily basis is all about.
Do social security promises still work to lure the electorate in? I mean, we just look at some of the promises that he's made from a social security point of view, and the numbers are really quite staggering, right? Where Malema has actually talked about individuals with university degrees and diplomas receiving a 5,000 rand a month stipend. That's whether you're employed or not. I mean, those are big things that he's saying in front of those audiences, and numbers that quite frankly, many South Africans would be quite happy to take.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like free stuff? Just offer free stuff anywhere, you'll see the stampede, right? I think, and that's a problem, that he doesn't say this is how we're going to grow the economy to ensure that we generate sufficient taxes in order to do these new things that we're proposing to you. I mean, first of all, I think he should be proposing to build an economy that gives the African child, because that's the child is fighting for, pride to do stuff for themselves, not to be spoon-fed by a government that they're expected to remain at the beck and call of. It's nonsense. I think we should build an economy. Of course, we should have a caring economy that takes care of those who genuinely are not able to do stuff. But we should also work in a way that we slowly work them out of a situation of dependence to a situation of dependence. Not to say we're going to grow the numbers to continue boasting like Ramaphosa has been doing about the number of people who are dependent on government grants. The EFF is doing the same thing. They're basically gambling on more people being in poverty situations so that they can be reliant on them. That is not good. Yeah, I mean, but part of brand EFF for many, many years has been really having land at the center of their discussions and what they promised the electorate. And this weekend, the promise being we'd hand over 50% of the land to black people within the first 5 years and prioritize women and young people. Your thoughts? But how are they going to do that? I mean, they need the number. There are processes in this country. I mean, I think a lot of people are in support of an idea of a reform of land. You know, I think it's a pity that nowhere in Africa, for instance, if we just look at Africa, has it been done in a way that still helps to sustain a growing economy. Zimbabwe was a failure, we all know that. So, but we also know that land is an emotional thing in South Africa. It's very hard for anyone to say, no, just leave things as they are. We can't, right? There's got to be a formula that can be preserved, that can be introduced, and over time, not overnight, so that we know where it's going and the resources are not stolen. It's not just the politically connected who get to benefit from what comes out of it. That the kind of reform that enables people who are able to do something with the land. First of all, we know people just want to own land. Say, I own land for security of tenure, but some people want to own land for productive purposes. You need smart thinkers around and not just slogans, political slogans to make that kind of promise, so that in 10, 20 years' time, we manage to do what the ANC has failed in 30 years' time. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about threats to brand EFF. I mean, certainly what we've seen in the run-up to this particular election is this new and this changing political landscape, right? Individual candidates coming in, independent candidates, that is. I mean, that's one sphere of the changing space. And then on the other end, you've got new players like the MK party. What are the threats, if at all, to brand EFF? Or are we going to continue seeing the growth of the EFF as some polls have put forward? No, I mean, in the same way that we talk about the economy being a pie, in order to get more people to benefit from the pie, you need to grow the pie. The political space is also like a pie, isn't it? So there was a time when there was just a handful of main parties fighting for the space. Now suddenly you get all these new entrants and small parties, and they all run on emotion. Zuma's party runs on emotion. And people will forget that Zuma comes from where the mess was created, but he speaks well, he dances well. I don't know what attracts people to this man. So, and all these other guys who were coming in, we've got the Zibis, we've got the Mashabas, and all these guys, the MPC. It's a messed up, fragmented situation. So the EFF suddenly has got a lot more to excite over. So it has to be better at packaging sweeties for the anger, because there's anger throughout South Africa. Nobody can deny that. So how is he going to ensure that the sweeties that he packages for the anger are more attractive than those that will be offered by the MK party and others? Yeah, I'm just looking, for instance, at, this sort of thing that you've seen going around on Twitter. Our land and jobs now stop load shedding, that being the chant that we heard from Malema over the weekend. Talk to me about how some of the EFF's tactics, particularly even within the parliamentary precinct in the National Assembly, have changed and have impacted the brand of the party over the years. So it's certainly coming to a height on Thursday as we went into the State of the Nation address, understanding those rules, that no interruptions will be made while the President delivers that address. Look, what I've seen is a almost nationalized sigh of relief that there was no disruption to the President's speech. Not that people need to hear. He's a president. He's paid to come back every year to say to South Africans, this is what we've done over the past year. This is what we're promising. So the EFF was exciting when they were going after Zuma. Many people were excited about the pay back the money. But, things like this reach a sell by point, if you want. You can't excite with the same methods over and over again. South Africans now, things are really bad in South Africa. People want to listen to constructive argument, to constructive programs being proposed that they can question, argue about, not noise and throwing stuff all over the place, going into shops and banning stuff, making threats. The EFF's way is not the kind of way that will have our Republic of South Africa, diverse as it is, to grow and become the country that it can be, to realize its position. It's too much anger. When you're driven by anger like the EFF is, and nobody owns anger. We all angry in different ways. You don't make anger lead you to make decisions that will hurt a country such as South Africa as much more than it has already been had. But we always know that one should never make important decisions while they're angry. Yeah.
All right. We're going to leave it there. Solly, thank you so much for your time. Solly Moeng is, of course, a brand strategist, speaking to us about brand EFF and certainly what has come out of the party's manifesto launch on Saturday.